tenderize that Philly meat real good.
Tenderize that Philly meat real good.
Tenderize that Philly meat real good. New How Order.
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louie Tee. Welcome to the Around the NFC East here on the NFC East Super Friends. I am here on behalf of the NFC East Super Friends, bringing you Around the NFC East, week number 8 in the National Football League. Interesting week for the NFC East, and it's set up this massive matchup. Had Washington beaten Philadelphia, it would have made it even more intriguing because first place would have been on the line. However, the Eagles continue to find ways to win games, and it's not the same way every week. And I think that is kind of the mark of a really good team, is whatever is necessary for that week, you find a way to get it done. I don't know if giving up 31 points is sustainable and winning against better opposition that's not going to give you 38. But every week, this isn't what you get from Philadelphia. We know Philadelphia, we being the Commanders, better than other teams around the league. So I don't know if Philadelphia is giving up 31 to other teams. We don't know. We'll see. But that's where we'll start with this breakdown. Commanders hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Second time these two teams have met this season in a month. If I may add that in. So these two teams were done with each other after this week 8 matchup. They met in week 4. Washington lost to the Eagles in a thriller 34-31 in overtime. So what was going to be an encore? Were the Eagles going to come in? They took over the stadium. Where they're going to be able to take over the Commanders and deliver the knockout blow. And that wasn't the case. Commanders started this game off fast. They were up 14-3. They had the football. And where I thought the game really changed was Washington went for it on 4th and 1, which was the right call. I thought it was a bad play call. Now, the Eagles blew coverage. They had a wide open receiver for a touchdown, but Sam wasn't working that side of the field. He threw it to Terry McLaurin. That's where he was going all along. And James Bradbury was all over it. Probably should have picked it off, but he didn't. But it got the Eagles back the ball. They took that opportunity, and really, I thought the game was never the same. They go down the field. They score a touchdown. They cut the deficit to 4. Washington added a field goal before the half, 17-10. That's the same score we had when these two teams met in week 4 at the half, with Washington leading by a touchdown. Eagles then tied the game up at 17. Washington had, I thought, their best drive of the season. Went down, scored a touchdown, answered that Eagles touchdown, took the lead 24-17. And I thought it was then where the defense needed to step in and assert themselves. Washington took that lead with 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The defense needed to make it stick. And instead, they gave up a touchdown. Then Sam Howell throws a tough interception. You can't have that happen at that moment. Eagles take the lead off of that interception. And then we had some unfortunate drops by our best receiver, Terry McLaurin. Balls could have been better from Sam Howell, but those are balls you got to catch. The difference in the game, to me, the Eagles made the plays. Washington didn't. A.J. Brown continues to be a man-possessed man amongst boys. Another, 7-8 catches, another 130 yards. His 6th consecutive 125-yard-plus game sets an NFL record. He is now at the top of the record books as the only receiver in NFL history to have 6 consecutive games of 125 yards or more. So this guy's on an absolute tear right now, and that's exactly what he was doing to the Washington secondary, tearing their ass apart. And did it to Emmanuel Forbes again. Benjamin St. Juste got some of that work in this game as well. Hurts was, I'll just say this. Hurts was spectacular, as he usually is against Washington. He's not right. And I don't want to hear any excuses, because you didn't even put his ass on the injury report that last week. And we'll see if he ends up on the injury report. But my man was limping around. He was gimpy. He had the 4th and 4 completion to Devontae Smith that wasn't a catch that our dumbass coach didn't challenge. He's trying to get down there as fast as he can to snap the ball so that he can, get a playoff so we can't challenge. And he can barely run, right? He's compromised. With that said, if they continue to protect him, he's going to continue to deliver dimes. He did that in this game, and the Eagles get it done. And let me just say this too. Game on the line, 31-24, 4th down. The Eagles haven't sacked Sam Howell all game long, and this is where your big-time players step up and make big-time plays. Hassan Reddick gets one-on-one, beats Andrew Wiley off the snap, gets to Sam Howell, forces a fumble, and that's essentially all she wrote. Game, set, match. Eagles score touchdown 3 plays later, and they're up 38-24. Game ended 38-31. Washington did score a touchdown relatively quickly and had an onside kick attempt. It was a great attempt too, but recovery by Devontae Smith, and the Eagles hold on for the 38-31 victory. So Eagles improved to 7-1, and NFL best 7-1. They've created some distance between themselves and everybody else in the NFC as the 49ers continue to lose 3 in a row for them. So now they've got a 2-game difference on everybody in the conference. No other team in the conference has 2 losses. I think Detroit actually has 2 losses and has a chance to improve to 6-2 tonight with a win over the Vegas Raiders. And I think also the Cowboys are 5-2, but they have had a bye week. So that sets up a massive matchup between Dallas and Philadelphia next week. Speaking of Dallas, let's go to their game. They play in the 1 o'clock hour as well. They took on the Los Angeles Rams, and this was a no contest. The game was 17-6 after 1. It was 33-9 after 2 quarters of football. This game was over at the halftime break. And it was because, and I feel confident in saying this, the Cowboys right now are the most complementary sound team in football right now. They play complementary football better than any team in the NFL to date. And what I mean by that is one side of the football washes the hand of the other, that washes the hand of the other, that then rinses it off, and then they dry it off collectively, right? So right now, I don't know if one unit for Dallas is necessarily I can't say that because I really like their defense. I think their defense is very, very fast, and it's physical. It's ferocious in its nature. Dan Quinn does a hell of a job of scheming it up. They've got speed at every level. So I do think that defensively they're really good. Their best unit may be their special teams, believe it or not. Like, nobody else's special teams unit is producing at the level that they had like 15 returns in this game, and like 6 of them were called back. They could have had a lot more damage done in the special teams department if not for a couple of penalties. They had a big return on a kickoff, a big return on a punt that set up a score. They had a block kick that ended up being a safety. Like, who else is doing that in the league? I think earlier in the year they had a fake 2-point conversion, and then they had the block kick against the Giants in week 1, scooped that up, ran for a touchdown. Who else special teams is producing at that level this season? Not to mention a defense that continues to take it away, but not just take it away, they're scoring on their own. Deron Bland scored another touchdown in this game, his 3rd pick 6 of the season. Their defense is scoring points, their special teams is scoring points, and then the offense is also taking advantage of those opportunities, whether it be a short field because of a special teams play, or a short field because of a defensive play, or they're just able to move the football. And unlike past weeks where they weren't able to cash in with the football in the red zone, they took care of that issue in this game. They dominated this game 6 ways to Sunday, win the game going away. Again, this thing was over at the end of halftime, if you want to be honest with me, if you want me to be honest with you, rather, at halftime at 33-9, but 43-20 is your final score here. Matthew Stafford was made to look like a fool in this game, ended up getting benched. They beat him up pretty good before he left the game, and things weren't any better once he left. So the Cowboys are now primed to take on this Eagles team in what would be described as a massive heavyweight matchup in week number 9. I honestly wish this was on primetime television, but it's going to be 4:25, which sucks for me because I'll be doing my Washington breakdown of the game, and I probably won't be able to watch that game live and enjoy it like everybody else. I may have to put that one up on my screen as I'm going live and be watching it. One eye on the game, one eye talking to the rest of these Washington fans that will be tuned into that game as well. But I think that's what's going to ultimately happen. I'm going to probably have to watch that thing on the screen. I can't not watch that game as it's happening. I can't. That's not I'll go back and watch later type of situation. I need to be on that game as it's happening. And then finally, the Giants, the lowly Giants. Oh my God. What more can I say about the Giants? And Giants fans, I said this on the Super Friends stream, and I meant this with every fiber of my being. It sucks to be you right now. Because, yep, you beat us. And it sucks that you beat us. And if we would have came out with the same game plan, which is why I say it's coaching, everything is coaching, and we came out with the game plan that we had against the Eagles, we would have beaten you. But that's besides the point. You beat us, you moved on, you're playing the Jets. What a disaster of a football game this was. And one of the things that I've always said about Tyrod Taylor, really like him as a quarterback, really love him as a backup, but he never stays healthy. They brought him in last year. What does he do? Abruptly, he gets hurt. Instantly, he gets hurt. This has always been Tyrod. He goes to the Chargers. He's supposed to be the buffer between Justin Herbert starting and them kind of having this bridge to give him a runway to get his bearings under him in the NFL before they turn him loose. And he gets injured. They go to give him an injection in Los Angeles with the Chargers. They puncture his lung, and he's out, and Herbert has to play in his rookie season, and they've never looked back, right? Every time he's put in a position to be a starter because of an injury, he always gets hurt himself. So what happens to the Giants in this game? Old Tommy DeVito has to come in. I was calling him Mike DeVito, and I said, I'm not calling him Tommy until he completes a forward pass, but his mama named him Tommy. I'm going to call him Tommy. Boy, was he ass cheeks. They were so scared to throw the football. This was a joke of a performance. And even with that said, that defense of the Giants stood up to the occasion, and they were winning that game, and they should have won that game. Graham Gano missed 2 field goals, both of them really chip shot distance. They had no business losing this game. They outplayed the Jets in this game. They turned over Zach Wilson. They made that Jets offense to look like a clown show. The one touchdown that they did score was missed tackles. It wasn't like this extravagant play. And the Giants had this thing wrapped up. If Graham Gano makes a field goal from 35 yards out with 30 seconds left, the game's over. It's 13. It would have been 13-7, and the Giants are going to win this game. Instead, he misses the field goal, and the Giants hadn't given anything up to the Jets really all day long through the air, and they gave up 2 massive pass plays to set the Jets up in a position to kick a 33-yard field goal, which their kicker, unlike the Giants, makes it. Greg Zuerlein ties it up, sends it to overtime. And the beauty of losing the toss for the Jets was the Giants are going to start the game in overtime with the ball, and they don't have a quarterback. At one point in the second half, the fans at the stadium were cheering, "Let him throw. Let him." They were running the ball on 3rd and 6, on 3rd and 9, on 3rd and... They weren't throwing at all. Every play was a handoff. They were finding creative ways to try to hand it off, jet sweeps and things of that nature, but they were just handing it off to Saquon Barkley. And they still would have won if their kicker could make a kick. It was. If you're a Giants fan, that's just a tough, bitter pill to swallow. Of course, DeVito goes backwards. They get a holding penalty on the first play of overtime, which they can't overcome when you're not throwing the football. And they end up in a 3rd and 21. They try to throw a screen. It almost gets picked off. They punt the ball. The Jets get great field position. They move it down. They get it in the field goal range. They win the football game 13-10 in overtime. That's a heartbreaker because you could have been out of the cellar in the NFC East with a win, and you could have been right back in the NFC wildcard playoff picture with a win. As crazy as that sounds, as bad as you started this season off, you could have been sitting right there at 3-5, right there in the mix, and now you're at 2-6. And if there's a silver lining here, Daniel Jones has been cleared medically. He should be back this week. And you traded Leonard Williams. He was dead weight. So you got rid of some of that. So if you're Giants fans, things may be looking up. But as I told you last week, it sucks to be you because you got to watch Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor for the rest of the season. I forgot about Tommy DeVito. Let's add him into the equation as well. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie Tee, here on the NFC East roundup around the NFC East. So big time matchups next week. Obviously, Washington goes to New England, chance to get back into the win column. We'll see what they do. They have struggled against bad teams this year, so nothing is etched in stone there. Giants will be playing the Raiders next week, have a chance to get back into the win column. Again, that defense is playing really good. Their best football of the season. We'll see if they can't take that show on the road and get results against a Raiders team that struggles against good defensive football teams. And then, of course, the big matchup that we've all been waiting for, Cowboys traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. 7-1 Eagles hosting the 5-2 Cowboys. A lot riding on this game. If you're Dallas and you really want to make this division interesting, you have to win this game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. My guy Law called me earlier today, and we spoke for a little bit, and he said, hey, you did what I asked you to do. We most certainly did. We tenderized that Philly meat real good. Now let's see what Dallas does with it. I'll see you guys next time. You know what it is. Have a good one.
Tenderize that Philly meat real good.
Tenderize that Philly meat real good.
Tenderize that Philly meat real good.